Hello there and welcome to ADcraft. Today I'm back in my futuristic world that I've been building up over these past episodes, and I have something big for you. Something extremely big that I'm going to be building, and I'm going to be building it here in this massive great hole that I've already prepared off camera. So don't go anywhere and let's get on with the video. To start, I needed a base, and I did this by using two of the discs from the tower build previously, flattening those out and making sure that they were smooth and linked together, marking out where I wanted the cable to go for the space elevator. And I was going to create this cable by creating some slices of it and then moving it round the circumference of a bigger circle. So each time I was going up by 3 blocks and then moving it across one around the circle, and that gave a fantastic twist effect, going around. A brilliant way to make sort of these cylindrical turns as you're doing a build like this. Once I'd created one chunk like this, which was basically a half turn, I then decided that I was going to rotate that through, actually it was a quarter turn, rotate that through and then start copying and pasting it. At that point we needed something to actually transport the people or aliens or whoever through and up and down the space elevator. So I created, using the ovoid shapes that we'd been introducing, some pods, and added them one part way up and then one docking, which meant that I had to rework some of the base so that there was actually a way that it could safely dock, and that would in theory work actually going up and down on the space elevator cables itself, and was quite happy with how that turned out. It did mean quite big changes to the discs themselves, but in terms of some area, I think it went quite well. I added a little bit of interior to the spaces underneath because they were quite empty, and then just added these mini domes. They just added again some rotational symmetry and a little bit of visual interest to the build. And the final thing I did in this area was add a couple of the hab pods from the previous episode, and did a bit of terraining and adding some of the lava flows just to bring it to life. I then made the decision that I was going to add an extra build for this episode, so I created this kind of cuboid, curved off shape. Again, just keeping smooth curves going on through this, but something slightly different from the other builds that I'd done. Again, looking to make changes to the patterns and the things there, just to give myself more options in the future really, and was quite happy with how that was, but decided it needed a cage. Similar to the one in the previous episode, so added a smooth quartz cage and then decided to add some colour and a bit more detail to that. The final thing to do once I'd duplicated that was to change the colour of the glass and add an interior build, just to fill up some of the space really, so added some of the previous builds in and linked those all up. Now that the builds are finished, I'll give you a quick run through of them in the shaders. Now, the first thing to note is that I am using different shaders now. I've decided to switch from the Silder's Vibrant, which I was using previously, where it's almost impossible to turn off the fog, to the BSL shaders, where you can actually just get a much clearer view of the builds that we've got. And that particularly helps when looking at it in nighttime, as you'll see. So, yeah. That's the first thing to note. I'm really happy how these builds all look and the otherworldly nature of them in those BSL shaders. So I am now looking first and foremost at this, which is the space elevator, and shout out to Marty Fletcher for the idea of adding a space elevator. I think it's a really good idea. Space elevators, for anybody who doesn't know, go around the equator of a planet and basically go from the Earth or from the ground right the way into space for taking people and taking items up, and that's the idea of this. Obviously with the slight problem that we hit the build limit. Now if you do also know of any mods or anything that I can use to increase the build limit, then that would be good, because I would like to make this go a little bit higher, maybe double the height, just to give it its full effect. But until then, unfortunately, it's Minecraft. There are limitations, and we'll have to use our imaginations a little bit. So yeah, props to Marty for this idea. If you do have any ideas of what you'd like to see, please do leave them in the comments. I really do appreciate them. And he also coined the name AD Centauri for this, which actually I think is a really, really quite good name. So let's have a quick look down here at the probably spaceport station. Not really sure if it's a station, but we've got here where items, people, aliens, whatever would arrive, and then obviously the going up side. So we've got these two different sides, and I wanted to build something that was quite hefty, because again, this would be rooted to the planet's core. This would be rooted into the ground quite heavily, so that it can maintain these giant cables that would go right the way up into space. Obviously they stop at 256 blocks at the moment, but really I'm pleased with how that's turned out, using in there some slightly different colour blocks, and really happy with how these extra cables with all the sea lanterns in show in terms of the lighting. Looking at the second build, so again, yep, you'll notice in this there's two completely different builds in this episode, which is slightly different from any of the other episodes in the series, and is probably what I'm going to continue to do. So to make a bit more progress on the world in between these episodes, so that you've got even more to see. But if you haven't already, do check out the other episodes in this series. There's episodes on each of the builds. But yeah, this was a bit more of a cuboid shape that I was going for, but obviously in the same way curved off at the top and round the sides, still to give it those smooth edges that you would expect in a hyper-futuristic world. Once I'd built it, it did look a little bit empty, so I just popped a dome in there and a hab unit, and we'll just have a quick look inside to check out the view of the rest of the builds. And up we go, up here, and yeah, the view out of the double glass still looks amazing. Really, really good this would be as a base if you wanted to build it in your survival world. Then hopefully you should be able to follow through from the time lapse by slowing that down. But alternatively, there is of course, as always, the map download on my Discord for members of the channel, so head across to the Discord if you haven't already. Yeah, so really happy with how that turned out. It would be great for, say, a farm or a storage unit or whatever you wanted to build in there. And all of these are modular, so the aim is that you could put as many of these together, link them underground maybe, as you wanted to build your entire city or base. And I know some people have done that. So yeah, really do like seeing also the pictures. If you tweet to me if you've built any of these or attempted to build things in this style, let me know via Discord or via Twitter. All the details of both are in the description. So really, really happy with how both of these builds together have worked out. They are, again, slightly different, but in keeping with the rest of the builds that we've got. And now the final thing to do is have a look at all of these in nighttime. And now this is really why I switched to the BSL shaders, because the clarity that you get and the lighting, how bright it is, that you can see. I've got the render distance cranked right the way up to 64 chunks. So this is literally as far as you can see, and we can actually just about see everything in here. And again, slightly more understated in this. I'm not really sure what to do it. Call it the cuboid unit. But obviously a lot more lighting in the space elevator, and really, really happy with how this looks, particularly just with the beacon beam going up through the middle. So yeah, you can see that's the one thing that does pierce the build limit, of course. But yeah, ideally I would love for this to be able to go up even further. And we'll just take a quick look, given that we're now using the BSL shaders, as I said, at the other builds. If you haven't checked these out, please do. All of the details are in the same playlist, all of these builds. They are all modular, so you should be able to link any of these builds together through the domes, through the hab units, but really happy with how this world is coming together. If you are enjoying this series and you do like the hyper futuristic look, please do let me know in the comments. It really does help. And leave a like, and above all, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and that you do ding dong that notification bell so that you can find out as soon as I post any of these new videos on the channel. And with that being said, all that's left is to say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time on ADcraft.